Welcome back to Majestic Bonsai, and today we're going to be working on a jack pine. I haven't seen a lot of these grow wild in the west, but out east, where it's quite cold, they grow quite a lot, pretty prominently. So as you can see, this tree here, I'll give you a spin around. This is one I just did, so I've had this in my possession less than a year. I got it last fall, late fall, and wired it quite strongly. When I got it, it was straight, and as you can see now, it's got quite a lot of curvature and a good shape, so hopefully that's visible. What we're going to be doing on this tree today is we're going to be taking and repotting it. I'm going to do a slight bit of maintenance on it beforehand, very minimal on maintenance, because I want this tree to get very strong. Based on the work that I did on it, given it the curvature I did, probably a fair amount of stress. I want to see that this tree recovers well, gets very strong, and yeah, just to make sure it's a healthy tree, I'm going to do very minimal maintenance on it. Excuse me. So what I will do, though, however, is we're going to repot it today, and one of the reasons I want to repot it is it has fungus gnats, moisture gnats. So these things are sometimes flying around a little bit in here. I had another tree that was similar, a little bit different design. It was very well done. I'm disappointed. It did die. I think partially because the moisture content is too high in the soil, and I should have recognized that, really. I did the work on it, and I wanted to have it recover, so I tried not to disturb the soil. In reality, I probably should have, and given it some good draining soil, something fungus gnats wouldn't be involved in, and that tree did die. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take and replace the soil, make a good draining, very minimal maintenance work, and then just let this tree recover and get very strong. It is going in a bonsai pot. This one here, let's see if that shows up. There we go. Yeah, so this tree here is going to go in this pot, and yeah, so that's it. You can see I've got the drain screen in already, and the wires are tied. I thought about perhaps putting new ones in and showing you how to do that. Truth be told, I'll show that in a different video at some point. I didn't want to undo this because, frankly, these drain holes are still good. So I didn't want to create more work for myself than is necessary. Alright, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to take some wire. This is a stainless wire I've got. Frankly, it's kind of in my way, so I'm going to use it up. It'll be good for tying in the tree. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in. Hopefully this is showing up on camera. Frankly, when I turn the camera around to so I can see what's going on, make sure everything's in the picture, it doesn't want to zoom in, and so then you're like way out. So someday I guess I'll figure a way to do better with that. Let's see if I can get that. Just putting that the tie-in wire in. truly did not mean to go through that screen. So, as you can see, I'm actually through the screen, which is poking up now. Let's see. There's an easy solution for that. Rather than trying to pull that out again and feed it back through, I'm just going to cut that. Cut the screen. And allow the wire to slip right out. There it goes. It's a little better. Okay. Alright. So there we go. We've got the wire in place. It doesn't have to be stainless steel wire. Again, I'm just using this wire up. Usually I use like aluminum wire. Same wire I use to wire the trees. And in this case, yeah, I just want to use up this stainless steel wire, so, and it works fine. Okay. Alright, so now you can see the blackness in that soil. I'll show you here in a minute. Just drop a bit of soil there. Alright, so as you can see, it's pretty dark. A lot of wetness coming off of that end of my hand, dripping wet. So we've had a lot of rain, of course, but with this new material I'm going to put in here, it'll be able to be free draining and be healthier and not attract fungus gnats. The aggressive nature of the soil is going to be, it'll keep the fungus gnats out and won't be an issue anymore. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to come back in just a moment, and I'm just going to take some of the soil off here. Okay, so this is what we're left with. I just pulled out a lot of the soil that was in there, and I want to leave some intact this time, and eventually over the years we'll work that soil out to where there's none of the old soil in there, none of the black soil. Expose this root here coming out of the trunk. It's kind of nice. I do have a root that's coming around right here. I'm going to leave it for now, and eventually we'll weed that out when we get finer roots. But for now, we'll leave it, let the tree grow strong. So, yeah, it's gonna sit in there something like that. So, for now, let me get some soil in here. Stick that there for a moment. Now what I'm using for soil is humus, akadama, and believe it or not, dried cat litter that's clay. It's a clay cat litter, nothing added. And the particle size on the cat litter is actually pretty decent, so that's why I use it. It actually seems to work fairly well. And let's just turn that camera down a bit. Right, I'll have to check to make sure we're in focus there. So maybe I'll get better camera equipment for this. But right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pile in the center going here. Spread this a little bit around the bottom, cover the screens. There we go, that should do. Now let's put that in the center. This tree here, I'm going to put something that's going to be pretty nice. The question is, what angle and direction do I want? I like that. That looks nice, actually. Okay. I think we can live with that. Does that show up? Down so you can see a little bit better what we're trying to do here. Okay. All right, let's try that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it in. I want that to be fairly snug in there. And so what I like to do a lot of times, I'll take from opposing corners and tie in. And I seem to have pretty good success with that for holding ability. Just turn it about 3 times, and then what I'll do is I'll tighten it with my pliers. What you want to do is grab hold of it with the pliers, grab tightly, and then pull up. Twist as you're doing that. So grab hold, pull, start twisting. Cut that end off just so it doesn't catch my skin and cut me as I'm twisting. So that's pretty good, feels pretty firm. So now what I'll do is I'll bend that down into the roots so it's out of sight. Also, I could clip that more, but it actually acts as a kind of a holding device, keep the roots down. And we'll do the same to this other side. I think that's pretty good, pretty snug. So I'll push that this piece here down. Let's see if that shows there for you. Yeah, so this piece here, I'm going to push that down. Preferably do it with pliers, especially with the stainless steel. It can be very sharp on the ends, and if something goes wrong there, it could end up cut. So just push down with the pliers, usually safer. So. All right, now, so what we're going to do is take our pumice, cat litter, and akadama mixture and see how, there it is there. I'm just going to add that to it. Fungus gnats are not going to like the aggressive nature of this, so they will no longer be a problem. I just find when there's fungus gnats getting heavy, the plants don't do well at that point. Eventually what you'll find, or at least what I have found, is that they start getting unhealthy in the roots and soon after start dying. It's an indication of a problem, and if you deal with that problem, in this case too much moisture in the soil, then And then putting the aggressive material like this, which is not friendly to fungus gnats, you deal with two problems. One, you have free draining material now, so you won't have too much moisture. And secondly, it's not a friendly medium for the fungus gnats. So we have just effectively solved two problems. Just a little bit left. I guess I need just the right amount, maybe. Now I need my chopstick, bamboo chopstick. Okay, well, I don't see it, so this is going to be a good opportunity for me to show how to make one. I tend to like mine a little bit longer, just because sometimes I'm actually using regular pots for growing trees, and so it makes it a bit easier for me, I find. And so in this case, I'm going to just take this, make sure this is visible here. Just going to take and clip that about there. Sometimes I have bamboo growing, although this year it looks like most of it died because of the cold. And just handy actually to grow the bamboo, because if you're into bonsai, it's a very useful material to use. If you're not familiar with the chopsticking method, then you're about to see that. So now what I'm going to do is take and split that. It may not be as good as I thought. It's kind of splitting on its own, so I'm just going to split it there. And that might do for now. Let's see if we can shave that down just a little bit. Quite where I want it. When you cut those off, they take off like bullets, so be careful. And this bamboo is wanting to split too, but it'll still work. Alright, so what we're looking for on that essentially is it's kind of almost like a 45-degree angle there. What we're going to do now is we're going to push into the soil structure and work this material into the soil. So this is what's known as chopsticking. Basically just pushing in until the material won't go any further. Do it firmly, but not extremely too hard. Yeah, this is not the most ideal material, this one. Maybe I would have done better to use green bamboo instead, but since my bamboo died, I don't have green bamboo. just want to work it all around the material. Now, if I didn't explain earlier why you wire the tree in firmly to the pot, the reason is so that it isn't moving. If you have wind, something like that in a storm, something bumps it, a pet, whatever, you want that root structure to stay firm. The reason why is if it's moving around, it will actually kill the roots. It won't progress, the tree won't do well, and too much movement, and those roots just won't take. It could kill the tree eventually. So tying it in like this keeps that movement so it doesn't happen. It stays stable. The tree knows it's in a stable place, and then wants to put roots out, and does so successfully. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to add some straight pumice to it. Finish off the top. Pardon me, I said pumice and I meant akadama. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in like so. Should do. Some people use a broom, perhaps. I like to take my chopstick like this. Make sure we're in camera. And just work it back like so. I'm just going to bring it back like that. Just bring it back away from the edge of it. That's all I do. It seems to work okay. So there we are. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is put some water on that. Yeah, let's get that watered. I'll be right back. Okay, I meant to have everything I needed and got the water. So you can see the difference there where I'm watering, how dark that is versus the light, and that's why I call the akadama tattletale soil to people, because it makes it obvious as to when it needs water. To me, it's a really good indication. It's not 100% indication of being accurate, but sometimes you can still have moisture underneath, but I find it helpful. I will say for sure that when it's wet like this, obviously you don't need the water, so in my opinion it does work pretty well. Let's put the rest of this on, and there we go. Okay, so that's that. Now next thing we want to do is just the basic maintenance to it, and so for that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of the needles off the bottom. So to do that, I'm just going to grab, I'm going to support the plant grab the needles gently on the bottom and just pull. And what that's going to do, it's going to define the pads that we're trying to set up. It'd be easier if I turn that towards me a little. Any of the dead stuff you can pull out too. The needles tend to shed every 2 to 3 years. So don't fret or worry if you see some needles that have died off. That could be normal, probably is. If you see a bunch, like everything's going, that's different. But when it's a few, there's always some needles going if they're 2 to 3 years old. So obviously this is going to be a longer video than what I normally do. If you're trying to learn bonsai, it's worth it. You cannot learn bonsai properly if you don't spend the time, even though sometimes it's boring and the same thing over and over again. You can't learn it properly if you don't put the time in. That looks like it's dead. So I'm just going to trim that piece out. There we go. Actually looks better now. Like that. Like I say, a little bit monotonous. If you really enjoy bonsai, I don't feel like it is. Certainly not doing it because it's just rewarding, it's relaxing, you know. It's a moment to pause and hear the sounds, the nice sounds, the birds. arms and shoulders especially get a little tired doing this after a while. Just pulling out some of those dead needles. Okay, so that looks a little better actually. I don't think I want to do too much more. So if you're in doubt, just don't rip and pull. Support the tree and as you're pulling. And that's it. I do have some little branches starting. They're probably heading in the wrong direction, but for now I'm going to leave it just because it's going to support the tree and the overall health, and I can make a decision later to remove it or perhaps to rewire. But let's give you the spin around here. Sure looks a whole lot better in this pot. I think for having it for less than a year since last fall, and of course this is almost June 1st. It's May 30th. For that amount of time, I think this is a pretty stunning looking little tree that I got from a nursery. So, you can have cool looking trees for not much money and a bit of training. So, yeah, for a few months of work, not bad. And in 3 years, this tree will be an incredible little tree in 3 years, I think. So, hope you enjoyed this video. If it was helpful for you, if you liked it, please like, subscribe. That'll help it grow. And, well, I hope to see you in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.